Good morning, everyone. Well, I don't know if it's morning for you or evening or when you're listening to this, but it's morning for us. Elaine and I are heading out to the beach, and we're in the car again, so apologies if the sound quality is okay. We have our mics today, which we have, but we haven't put on yet. But our conversation is good, so we're going to get started. What was the conversation?
Oh, you were saying about your dad. You wanted to hire a writer.
Yeah.
I was just about to tell you I know one if you want.
So I've been thinking about this for years, and my dad is very spiritual and very connected to the Guru Granth Sahib, and the Guru Granth Sahib is our religious text. I'm Sikh, and it's our religious text, and he's very spiritual. And so one of the things that he said at his mom's funeral, I'll never forget this. He said this at his mom's funeral, and he said, my mom used to just drop a line from the Guru Granth Sahib every now and then, and it would be so to the point, and I will always remember that. And I remember him saying this at our funeral, at our funeral, and it sat with me, and it's been sitting with me. And my dad is the same way. He will drop a line, a real profound spiritual line, and I'm thinking, man, who's going to do this when you're gone? Who's going to do this for my kids? It's not going to be me. I am very connected. I am very spiritual. However, our Guru Granth Sahib, I can't understand. So, I mean, it's written in a different language. It's been translated many times in English. I don't know if I'm going to go on the journey ever to fully understand it, and I might, but at this point I'm like, who's going to share these teachings with my kids? And then I look at the power of what he says for just the world in general, and I've been thinking about it for so long. I'm like, my dad's words need to be captured. So I've been thinking of hiring a writer.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, because actually I was going to propose to you somebody that I know, and she has a website called Words Live Here. And
beautiful.
Like just as you say it, I'm like, whoa, that is the title, right? That is just that's the place to go, because they live there. And as you think about, how will you capture this for when he's gone? I mean, that's it. You want these words to continue to live, right? Yeah.
Can I use her title? My dad's words live here.
I guess a variation of it should work, but I can definitely put you in touch and you can clarify.
Wow, where have you come from in my life to like all of a sudden? Okay, I'll connect you with this writer. Like, awesome. I've been thinking about it for years, but maybe I'll connect with this writer. But since you and I have started this podcast, I've been thinking, whoa, why don't my dad and I just have these umbrella questions and just start talking? And so now when I go home in the summer... So anyways, last night my dad called, and the sound quality was really good, and I thought I would flip over to the app that I'm using to make these podcasts with you. But the thing is, whenever I'd flip to this podcast, he couldn't hear me anymore. And so it do it over the phone. I'll wait till I go there. It might change the quality.
Or just have a separate device while you're recording and have him on loudspeaker. There's ways around that.
There are ways around that.
If you want to capture a quick moment, yeah.
I could see if I could do it on my computer. All right. Anyways, I will try again, but yeah, I'm glad we had this conversation, because now I know I'm connected to a writer possibly. Yeah. Or I can do it through podcasts.
Okay. Now we'll connect the mic just in case. You could whip it out.
So you were up early this morning talking to Frank?
Yes.
How'd that go? How is he doing?
He's doing okay. I was prompted to call him because of some messages I had received. Also about, family members who, as they age, you see the differences of their decline. I don't know if you can call it decline, of their life just changing, right? I like to call it changing patterns of life. And we were having a conversation about that, what that looks like, how that feels and what that means for other members of the family.
You should have recorded that conversation.
Well, probably, yeah. When you're an observer of these declines, we talked about his grandmother and his grandmother, and yeah, it was just, and then you called to take me to the beach.
Whoops.
Yeah. So we cut that conversation short, but yeah, there's not much more I can say really about that right now. I think I'm still in myself still just digesting it, right? You still have to, even when you have these conversations, there's sometimes stuff you need to process, and when you've processed it, then you can communicate it in a more coherent way that makes sense for everybody else.
You know,
there's always snippets I can't. Yeah.
You know what a beautiful topic of conversation would be for you and Frank and for any couple, is what does that look like for us? So once you like zoom out and you see your family members going through aging and what it looks like for them and their family dynamic, but it also gives you an opportunity to be maybe a little proactive of what that looks like for you.
And that definitely has. I mean, over the years, that's what we do, right? We kind of look at how our parents were. You kind of pick your partner to not be to be a little bit different. You put things in place to support your own children. My parents, they did that for us too, right? You try to make life for your kids a little bit better in some ways, or much better. There's things you just don't want to repeat, or there's things you want to change from how you were brought up. I don't want to say that blanket wise that everybody does that.
Certainly a thought in my head, but not everybody has the power to do that because so much is out of our hands.
Right. Right. But I know we have consciously done things that made decisions so that it's for the better or for the future of our kids, right?
Awesome.
And I know that his parents and my parents did the same for me. My mom moved us to Germany from the UK for a better life as well. And not that, I mean, even when you're thinking about it, the UK's got, you've got life in the UK, that's all fine. But when my dad lost his job years ago, back at the time, contract work overseas was in demand, and that's where he found work. And we emigrated to Germany. And we found that we had a better quality of life living in Germany than we did living in the UK. And yeah, long story short, my parents divorced at some point, and then my mom moved us back to the UK. But we lasted a year in the UK. Just, I don't know, it must have been our collective consciousness together that brought us about the resources to get back to Germany. And within a year, we moved back.
Interesting.
Yeah. I have 4 sisters, and we all just wanted to go back to Germany. And Mom found ways to do that, and we did.
How old were you at that point? And your sisters? Like, what's the age of the
14,
family?
15.
Teenagers.
Yeah, teenagers. Yeah, so I'm the second oldest, and my youngest is a year apart. So, and that's just another, to hook into the idea that in general you want to do better for your kids, right? And Mom could see it as well, that our life was more richer, we were happier, we were learning a second language, or already learned that second language, because we were there for 2.5 years before we moved back. And Mom could see the difference in our, capabilities, in our language abilities, in our confidence, and all that kind of stuff. She could see it, and made an effort to do what she could to help us get back. So that's what we did.
I think I was supposed to go in there. Should I go over the median?
Looks like a lot of people do that, but I don't know.
Let's do it.
Oh my gosh, you really gonna do this?
Drop the phone.
She did it.
Yeah, I went over the median on a highway in Doha just
Thank God the roads are
so
empty.
I don't miss the turn. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of traffic cameras.
But not, I'm looking around, I don't see any here. Oh dear.
Really expensive beach trip. You know, that's the first time I've done that here. I've thought about it many times. So the roads in Doha are extremely intricate. Like, they've all been developed in the last less than 10 years. So you're looking at top-notch engineering, infrastructure, and then endless money. And so the roads are just... How do you describe how...
They're complete. They're ready.
They're like, complex. Yeah. Like, you look at a flipper and you'll have like 16 different options of which way to go. Even though there's only 4 directions. Like, I just find the roads here crazy. And
then you have like 4 seconds to make the decision.
Yeah, you totally. And with these or Google Maps, literally you have 4 seconds to make a decision if you would be exiting or not exiting. So many times you end up going on roundabout ways and taking U-turns and so on. So just now, I just totally went over a median on the highway.
But to be fair, there were lots of tire tracks going over there. I think you're not the first.
You could have said anything in that moment. You could have said, like, no, Preet, I don't think so. Are you kidding me? No way. What are you thinking? No, you're like, well, there's lots of tire marks.
I don't think we're the first.
I'm like, okay. So my first week here, I got a 1,000 rial fine. And 1,000 rials is 300 Canadian dollars.
Wow.
And I got it because I was not in the turning lane. So there's 3 left turning lanes in an intersection. And I was in a lane that was going straight. So like the 4th lane. So you're thinking big intersection that has 3 left turning lanes. I'm in the 4th lane, which is going straight. I need to turn left. I've been here a week. I'm hungry. I have to go to the bathroom. I can't find my way. And so I decided, you know what? I'm just going to turn from this 4th lane and start turning because there is nobody around. Not one vehicle. Huge intersection. Not one vehicle. So I decide, you know, whatever. I'm just going to make the turn. I make the turn, and 3 days later, I don't know how I found out.
Matrash.
But at that time, I didn't have Matrash. Matrash is our online government portal. I don't know how I found out, but yeah, I had a rental, and I was returning the rental, and they're like, oh, you have a fine you have to pay first. And so, yeah, there they had me on camera, in the 4th lane with my tires turned left.
Wow.
And I looked at it, I'm like, yep, that's me. I can't even
Yeah.
So
I got a fine too, 1,000 rial.
For what?
For nothing. Well, I didn't do anything. My husband was driving the car, right? But the car's registered in my name, and he parked in a disabled parking space.
Yeah.
That would cost me 1,000 rial.
Yeah, that same time that I paid the 1,000 rial fine, I had another 200 rial fine from parking at our conference. If you remember, I was late to that conference, the very first one. Mm-hmm. Do you remember my story from that?
No.
So I was late. I was late because I think I was getting my license that morning.
This at the CC.
At the GCC, or that huge conference center.
Yeah.
And I had parked on the opposite side of where I needed to be. Again, I was new. I didn't know. And I just pulled over and I got out and there's no cars. And I was like, whatever, I'm late. I need to just jump in. And you got to picture, like, this conference center is huge. The conference center is huge, and again, new. The infrastructure is crazy, and there's these about 8 huge entrances with huge glass windows. The doors are glass, and they're double paneled. So you go through the first, and then there's a second door that opens. I guess they do this for heating and cooling of the building. And I got through the first door. And the second door didn't open. And the first door closed behind me.
Oh. I do remember that story. And you were locked between the doors.
I was locked between the 2 glass panel doors. And because I was on the opposite side of the conference center, there was nobody around. So you're looking at this killer facility, huge facility, and there's nobody around. And it's all glass. So I can see nobody because that side of the conference center wasn't being used.